Hi Jane, welcome back.
Hi Sharon, thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So today we're going to be talking about creating copy with impact.
Yes.
We all, if we're in a business, we need to write, we need to let people know what we do, whether it's articles or whether we're writing for a course. And I've learnt recently that there's certain ways to write it that make more of an impact with people.
Yes.
And I think it's really important because we get so bombarded online all the time with articles and copy and this and that, and unless you write something that really stands out, you're going to be swamped away with everyone else.
That's right. And look, I came on across this method through a writing workshop that I did, and so I have that teacher to thank. I have also an NLP practitioner trainer to thank because she used it in terms of how to plan your speech. I then have now used it in terms of writing books, planning speeches, organising workshops. You know, I use it over and over again. And look, the system is called the format system. It's Bernice McCarthy is the person to look up in terms of any YouTube videos or any further research that anyone wants to do about this. But the format system is used as, in fact, it's a profiling tool in a coaching sense. But what it does from the point of view of how you want to organise your copy so that it lands with your target audience in a way that is going to resonate with all of the different learning styles, then this is a very cool system that you can use. And I use it at the most basic level. You know, Bernice Murphy would, probably turn over and give me a good kick for using it like this. But let's keep things simple.
Yeah, and if it works, then it works.
And if it works, it works. Now, what it's all about is, as I said earlier, you're recognising the learning styles of the people who are likely to be reading your blog or listening to your speech or reading your book or your article or whatever. And those learning styles are why learners, what learners, how learners, and what if learners. So it's different to what we initially learnt, in terms of the visual, kinesthetic, auditory, visual, digital through our NLP training, but it's not so dissimilar. But basically it is recognising that people are different, so that you'll be talking to a range of people with different learning styles, but importantly, at least 3/4 or thereabouts of the people you're talking to aren't going to have the same learning style as you have. So it's a common mistake to make that we will write copy that resonates with ourselves, because of course that's what we do, that's what we know, that's where we're comfortable. And of course then that suits the other people who have learning styles similar to ourselves. And of course recognising that we're not completely fixed, it's not a black and white thing and we're not in a box, but fundamentally we will have preferred ways of receiving information. So here we are then, we're going to be thinking we've got why learners to address the needs of, how learners, what if learners, and why learners. Now, when I say that, does any particular one resonate with you, Sharon?
Is it why, how,
Yep.
when,
What, or what if?
Probably why.
Why? Okay. So let's say I'm a nutritionist and I'm writing an article about nutrition and I want it to land with you. The question you'll be posing subconsciously when you pick this material up to have a look at, you will want to see sooner or later why it matters to you. You'll be going, well, why do I need to know this? Why do I care? And, in many ways, the why learners are most similar to the what if learners, because the what if is almost the flip side of the why, because you can get to why learners by, you'll want to know about nutrition, because when you eat well, you'll feel so much better. You'll age better, you'll sleep better, your brain will work better, you'll generally be happier, everything will just work better for you. On the other hand, if you don't eat well, you're likely to age much more quickly, you'll be much more susceptible to disease, You won't look nearly as vibrant and as well, and generally, you know, your well-being will be on a much lower level. You'll be vibrating on a much lower level. So can you see how they're this? I've done the what if learners. You know, it's the what if I don't do it. You know, what if I just keep doing what I'm doing now, or what if I do it differently? So in an argument like I put to you then, I've addressed both of those learning styles in sort of the one general blurb, if you like. And then you've got the what learners, and they're going to be saying, yeah, but what exactly am I going to find out here? And to address the what learners, I'd be saying, well, you're going to be learning what amount of protein you need to keep yourself healthy, how much fibre, how much liquid you should be taking in and what kinds, how much carbohydrate and what kinds, what kind of fats are healthy and what proportion of your diet should be fat. So the what learners, you can see that's quite a different chunk of information.
That would not interest me.
No, isn't that
interesting? If you said that to me, I would be like,
there you go.
I'm interested in that, but if you said to me,
if that's what I hit you with up front, you'll just move on. Just move on. Yeah. That's right, because the language hasn't landed with you. And the what learners, they love dot points, and they love things like graphs as well. You know, it's very much a process type of a mind that's coming at that. They like the detail.
Why will be the big picture.
That's right, the big picture. And then you've got the how. This will be somebody who wants to know, okay, so I get this, but how do I make it work for me? And they'll need to hear something like, you know, those words. You can make this work for you by being prepared to change what you do already, being prepared to experiment a bit to see what actually suits your body type, because none of us, we're not cookie cutted out, we're not all exactly the same. And you'll do well to buy in organic shops. You'll do well to stay to the outside aisles in supermarkets if you do find that you know supermarkets are easier for you to get to. You'll do well to eat the food in as close to its natural state as possible. You know, that's the kind of thing. Yeah, I could go on and on and on and on. So if I was to string this all together, and of course there'll be more content than this, but let's say this was an introduction to a talk. You would say, look, I'm talking to you today about nutrition, and I'm doing this because it's just so important to our overall well-being. It makes an incredible difference to the way you feel, look, and age if you look after yourself from the point of view of what you're putting into your body by way of food. And seriously, the downside is just too bad to even want to consider continuing to eat in a way that doesn't support you well, because you're so much more susceptible to all of these preventable diseases like diabetes and cancer and stroke and premature death ultimately. So it is so worth putting the time into making sure that you're feeding yourself well. And to do this, what you want to do is make sure that you're eating organic to the best of your ability, to eating food that's in as natural a state as possible, and to making sure that you cook at temperatures that don't increase advanced glycation end products, AGEs. Again, here's now coming some of the content. You want to make sure that you're getting 45 grams of fibre every day, that you're drinking at least 2 litres of water, and on and on and on and on. Do you see how that, as a package, is going to land with most of the people in your audience? And what you want to make sure that you do also is when you're asking yourself these 4 questions in terms of your content, you'll find that your favourite learning style, you can just rattle out either that happens, or you kind of come up dry because you're thinking, well, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Why? Just because. So either
it's good for you.
That's right. It's because you should. So you're either likely to freeze up a little bit around that one, or you are likely to freeze up about ones that you're uncomfortable with. And it's when you freeze up that you need to then use that skill that as coaches we know really well, because we're always telling our clients to do it. We might not be so good at doing it for ourselves, but it's that sit in the discomfort. And when you do sit in the discomfort, that's when the gold might bubble up that you could otherwise completely miss, and thereby just miss the opportunity to connect with your target audience, with the whole group of your target audience. And that's not to say, of course, that everyone in the end is going to buy your message, but it does mean that you're spreading your range much more than you otherwise would be. And you know, it's and I share this with the group. Now this is me addressing my learners in the group, of course. I share this with the group because we, as you said, we are in a really, really competitive market. And as much as we might be more or less comfortable looking at things from one perspective, or maybe two perspectives, if you can broaden out your perspective, then not only are you likely to be able to produce copy that lands more fulsomely, but you're also better able to understand your clients. And then further to that, of course, we all live lives with relationships with, you know, partners or children or friends, where from time to time, you know, uncertainty or dissatisfaction can come to play. And of course, if I think we can step back and just be mindful of somebody else's perspective, then it's really helpful. Look, I've just found it this way anyway. I've found it to just be really helpful on so many levels. And I know I'm not the only one, because my writing clients always say, oh my God, since you mentioned the learning styles, it's just so much easier to organise my content. Because there's that question as well. There's the question of accessing our content, because we're all experts in what we do. We know so much, but the question of accessing our content, and then organising our content, and then communicating our content. So if you're putting it through these filters on all of those levels, and if you can get into the habit of doing that, you know, I must admit, and this again is your what if learner will go, but yeah, but it's easier to do it this way. I can do it quicker. I'll do it quicker. I'll just do it quicker this time. We resist change. That's what I'm getting at. And don't we? But I would argue that ultimately you're going to save yourself so much time by just investing a little bit of time and discomfort up front, now that you know this stuff, and just creating a new habit. Because we can. That's the beauty of being human, because we can rewrite our scripts as often as we like, in fact.
I know, and I actually started doing this at the end of last year for all of my posts.
Yes.
It takes me longer. I'm not doing as many posts, but they're more impactful and getting more people back to my website, because I've actually already started putting this into practice. It's amazing.
It's great.
How quickly you can pick things up. And I just sit there with, you know, because it's not automatic for me yet. Like for you, it's automatic because you've done it.
That's right.
And I know we both trained in it 10 years ago together, but
That's
it isn't
right.
an area that I've worked on. So I still sit there, and it's I've got my why and my what if, and I just sort of, you know, do my paragraph, and it's, when you read it back, it is so much more impactful.
Yes.
And it might take 10 minutes to write the post as opposed to just writing a few words, but that 10 minutes may get an extra 100 people to the article.
And that's gold, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, that is gold. You just reminded me of something else as well, in terms of other different characteristics that we might have that are interesting, well, you know, helpful, I should say, more than interesting, helpful to be mindful of if we're trying to get through to somebody. And that is that some people are they're easy convincers. Other people take longer. It's quite common for people to take 3 times, you know, to have to hear a message 3 times. I think it was 3 presentations I had in terms of the format system that I've just told you about. I think it was 3 for me. Other people, quite commonly, 3 might be common, or 7 might be common as well. So it's that client who keeps coming back and you think, well, what more can I say?
Mm-hmm.
I think I've been pretty clear. Well, it's just the same thing over. And as long as you're talking to them in their learning style, and without overcomplicating this, sometimes also it's helpful to disrupt a pattern by just saying something really shocking. Like, will you just fucking listen, woman? You know, and then you can get through, you can bust through. I suggest you don't do that until you're really comfortable with it. But just as we were talking about it, you know, I thought, well, why don't I share everything that I have learned? Do you know, it's nearly 10 years for me in terms of coaching. And I was really late to come to the table compared to someone like you. But over this 10-year period, I think if there's one really useful chunk of information I found out, it is about the way people take information in. And the more we can know about that, the more we're able to help people. And that's the end game for everyone in your community, in your community, Sharon, isn't it really?
We're all here to make more of an impact. We're all here to help people, otherwise we wouldn't be in this community.
That's right.
And whether it's writing or whether it's being a therapist or whatever area that we're in, if we're in this community, we're wanting to help people.
That's it.
And so thank you for coming to share that today.
You're very welcome. Very welcome, Sharon.
I'm sure you've got so much more wisdom and we will have you back.
Yep, I'll be back anytime.
Thank you.
Great. Bye-bye.